Hi, I'm Sandra.
Hi, I'm Triffany, and we're friends. Every time we get together, we have these crazy, awesome insights about manifesting, life, synchronicity.
And one day I said, it's too bad we didn't record this because somebody out there could have benefited from hearing this.
And that's how this began.
We never know what we're going to talk about, but when we do and the magic happens, we want to share it with you.
All right, we're live. Awesome. Hey, Tiffany, great to see you again.
Good to see you again. Should we check our watch? It's been, I don't know, days.
I know, right? Actually, you know what's funny? Speaking of watches, I finally got a battery replaced in my watch. You know, because a lot of times you don't even think about using a watch because you have your cell phone. And I kind of realized the watch still has its use. So I finally got the battery changed in this watch that I have and love and used to wear before having kids and didn't want to spit up on it. And I'm not wearing it. What's up with that?
Oh no, I haven't worn a watch in ages. I hadn't even thought about it, but yeah, we don't really wear watches anymore, do we?
No, what's on your arm? I thought that was a watch. Did I?
It's those
Oh,
magnetic
it's your pretty bracelets.
bracelets. Yeah. No, I was just being a smart ass because
I should know you better by now.
I have some cool watches too. Like it used to be kind of a neat way to accessorize, right? Like the right outfit, and it doesn't even occur to me. I think now it would almost feel weird. It would take me a while to get used to it.
Well, I find that when I'm I'm in meetings with people, I don't like having to keep my phone on the table and having to turn it on to check the time. Yeah, it just feels like a little bit, rude, almost like I'm projecting a feeling of I'm not still present with you.
Right.
So I think a watch is a little easier,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just what I used to do when in my prior life as a psychologist. You just surreptitiously look at your watch just to make sure you're staying on time and getting ready to, to contain everything so the patient's not walking out of your office a total basket case because you opened up all these wounds and then you didn't take the time to close things up before the end of the session.
Yeah, there's a process, right? Like you really do. Yeah. And then you have those, I call them doorknob epiphanies, where they have like these epiphanies right as they're leaving. You spend the whole hour and they're not quite sure, everything's fine. And as they're leaving, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot to tell you.
Right? Oh, by the way, my dog died, or getting a divorce. And you're like, whoa, wait.
It's going to be some form of like mental block, right? Like they just weren't quite ready to deal with it just yet. That's funny. So tell me how you've been. We're talking quite a lot about some of these changes from the distraction challenge, and you were plugging up your energetic.
Yes. Oh my God, the ripple effects from just eliminating one distraction, just increase my awareness of other distractions. Can't remember if I'd already mentioned, I went through Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and just was like, if I don't even remember these people, I don't know who they are, why am I claiming to be friends? So I'm like, clean that up. And now it's kind of extended into like my friendships. And I'm looking at these and I'm like, this person actually doesn't really even know me. They don't, you know what I'm saying? Like they have clear, I'm going to use the word prejudice, but it has nothing to do with my skin color.
Right.
But like just guidelines as to what they're willing to accept and what they're willing not to accept. And so the part of me that fits their viewpoint is the only part of me that they see.
Yes.
And so I'm kind of like, and I'm a New Yorker at heart, and and I'm just like, you don't throw that word friend lightly, and I've lived in other states where that does happen, and I've kind of gotten used to it and kind of delineating between friend and acquaintance. And now I'm realizing there are different nuances of friends. That this is a person who, even though they don't know me, if the shit hit the fan, would be there for me. But on the other hand, like, if pure New York terms, this person's not a friend because they don't really know you, the whole you, because they wouldn't accept the whole you. So it's been quite an interesting process on what to eliminate. So
that's
where I'm at.
That's got to be crazy, because then you start really thinking about, like, when you talk about about a box, right, that people are putting in, when you say they know me in this one way, and it's going to be really hard for them to understand me in any other way, it's got to bring a whole new awareness of, number one, how people perceive you and where they put you. You know, like, you're the mom box, or maybe, you know, maybe it's even more different. You're the single mom box, or the professional box, or the whatever that box is, and never the twain shall meet, right? Like with other boxes. But then I would think too, and I don't know, I'm totally going off of how I would process this. It would make me wonder, where am I putting other people in boxes? Where have I allowed myself to get to know somebody only so far? And then that's my happy hour friend, and that's my marketing friend, and that's, you know, like, where do I do that, and what does that mean?
Right. Yeah. That's interesting, you know, and this is almost like a challenge for a follow-up challenge, right? Are you following me here? Because I'm thinking, oh gosh, so the next step to this challenge of removing distractions would be to show up in the world completely authentically and let the chips fall where they may, right? Like, so these friends of mine who have no idea that I'm an energy healer just totally come out. Like, I'm coming out and we're like, this is who I am. You might not be thrilled with that.
Isn't that fascinating? Like, it is kind of, it's almost like the Russian stacking dolls, right? Like the one inside and the one inside and the one inside, because you're right. And the thing is, what I know about you is that you are incredibly authentic. So what's fascinating to me is, I know that whatever role you've shown up in, so maybe it's, you know, the kids at school and this is your mom role. I know in that role, there hasn't been anything disingenuous.
Right, no.
And still, there is this whole other aspect to your life, your character, the way you show up, your integrity, like all of these other things that you haven't, for one reason or another, really made known. And yeah, it is. It ends up kind of being a challenge inside of a challenge. Now, I will tell you, I get it. I totally get it, because I went through something similar when I, you know, over the years been dabbling in dating and dabbling and realized that I wasn't stepping in my whole authenticity either if I wasn't talking about my meditations, my energy work, the way that I see life differently, and impact, the way I impact the world differently, the way I embrace failure, you know, all of those things. That I'm not going to just get into your quagmire because you think your quagmire is the only reality, right? Like, and that was met with either direct opposition or total flight. Like, these guys just ran. So it would be really interesting to see if you did show up in your full glory, if that wouldn't be the easiest filter ever. Because the people who aren't going to get you, they're just not going to pursue anything beyond cookie drop off for the PTA meeting.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. It's kind
know.
of a scary prospect, though. You know, I mean, when you show up authentically and are rejected for that, it's not a fun space to be in. And there are a lot of people out in the world who can relate to this, right? It's, you know, when you show the world, you know, this is me in all of my full colors. Some people don't like that. And it's almost easier to keep that to yourself, because at least you have control over who accepts you and who doesn't.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that as rejection or something that was even injurious. Like, I don't, but I can see how it would be perceived that way. Of course it would feel like rejection, wouldn't it? Like, it didn't to me, I think, because I was looking at it, I wasn't looking at it as whether or not I'm accepted. I was looking at it as, did I win? Did I show up and speak my truth? And if I did that, I won, regardless of how they perceived it. I won. I wasn't even thinking about it in terms of, was I accepted? And there's a lot to be said. How many times have we talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs? You know, as you move away from the physical absolute survival, we start talking about friendships, community, belonging, tribe. That is an important part of our personal development too. So that's true. You're right. I think there's a lot to be said for that fear holding people back from their own whole authenticity. I don't think everybody's out there just being fake all over the place, but
right. Yeah. I mean, you're showing up as authentically as you feel it's safe to show up.
That's perfectly said. That's perfectly said. Yeah, because each context is going to have a different boundary for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is interesting. It's something to ponder on for sure.
I love our talks. It always just seems like, oh yeah, this is what's going on, and all of a sudden it just goes deep. It's just like, yes, all of the marginalized people in our society who are grappling with this every day.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I mentioned like several shows ago, the bravery that it takes for somebody to step out there and say, hey, this happened to me, and give other people, it increases their energetic space of safety to also come out and say, this is what's going on with me too. Gosh, if we could just have more compassion in the world, right? I mean, I think we were talking earlier about, you know, that awesome study that you told me about with the teacher with the blue eyes. And can you tell that again?
Oh my gosh, the brown-eyed, blue-eyed experiment. I'm gonna see, it's gotta be on the internet somewhere. I remember I learned about it in a psychology class in college, and back then it was on the VHS tape, you know. We all had to share it and go home and watch it. And this was a teacher who had a 4th grade class, and I wanna say it was the late 60s, early 70s, and she was trying to explain to her 4th graders, very young demographic, the nuance of human behavior, as you know, how things could have gotten so bad, not just in World War II with Hitler and the Jewish community, but also here at home in terms of racism and the way that the way that we form prejudice. And her kids in 4th grade, they couldn't get it. So she said, okay, let's do a little experiment. Just off the cuff, she decided to do this experiment where for 1 week, just one set of kids, the brown-eyed kids, say, she put up a thing on the board and she said, okay, all brown-eyed kids, they are not as kind, they're not as patient, they're not as smart. Everybody knows brown-eyed kids, they've got thick skulls, they don't participate well. She had a whole list of things. And blue-eyed kids, why they have all of these positive characteristics, right? And then they ran that experiment for a week and saw this division begin to happen in the classroom, where the blue-eyed kids were like, oh yeah, boy, you know what? That seemed random at first, but I'll be darned. These kids, they really aren't that bright. They really aren't that patient. And those kids' grades went down, their understanding went down, their class participation went down. Everything became lessened in the classroom for the brown-eyed kids. Well, then after that week, she flipped it. So now it was the blue-eyed kids that carried the negative characteristics, and it was the brown-eyed kids that carried the superior characteristics. And I'll be damned if the same dynamic didn't happen. So suddenly, even the kids that had been subjected to this pain, even they weren't asking the blue-eyed kids to play kickball at recess. Even they were like, you know, last week it sure looked like they were on top of the world, but look at how stupid little blue-eyed Johnny is now, right? Like the whole thing flipped. And then, at the end of it, she had everybody reflect on their experiment, their experience. The crazy thing is so 20 years later, they followed up with these kids, and every single one of them came out of that experience saying, it impacted me. It made me question my prejudices from that point forward. I never looked at anybody's superficial appearance to make a judgment on their worth or their value or their abilities. It completely changed this class of 22 kids or whatever it was. And I love the fact that while it was a painful experiment, and certainly there are some moral things to consider about what we subject our kids to, by the same token, it was experiential. It wasn't something they had to memorize. It wasn't something they had to just trust happens. That experience of being present, not just to their pain, but to their ability to create pain for others, created such a level of compassion, such a level of understanding of what really makes people different, what really makes people distinct, your own propensity for both greatness and for evil. And it was so powerful. I'm gonna have to see if I can find it. I'll see if I can find it and put a link in the
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, just think about, you know, the LGBTQ community. And I mean, it's just, there's so many different pockets of life that don't feel comfortable being, like you said, wholly authentic.
Yes.
It's not that you know, anybody is being inauthentic. They're being as authentic as the space is safe enough to be. So yeah, the challenge, and I don't know if I'm brave enough to take on that challenge, actually. You know, I salute, you know, the LGBTQ community for having the courage to do that. I don't know that I had the courage to, you know, come out to and I hope that's not disrespectful to the LGBT community to use the word coming out, but to like be wholly authentic to people who have no clue that I'm an energy healer, who think that I am a typical psychologist, very, you know, logical, left brain, science focused, not woo woo at all, you know? And it's like, wow, look at this whole entire side of me they don't even realize exists.
Well, and think of it this way, like if they, I just realized today that this was a thing. I thought you were like with everybody the way you are with me. So I was so surprised. And on the way home from our lunch, I was thinking about how there are so many people out there looking for permission to believe what their heart knows is true, that we are all connected, that we are all one spirit, that we do have the ability to create our life experience, that we certainly have the ability to shape our beliefs and our ideas, and that shapes our reality. All of those things. There are so many people that actually have dipped a toe in or had some curiosity. There's something that is like calling to them about this as a new way to perceive the world. Imagine the impact it would happen for the people who are just looking for that nudge to see somebody who is ex-military, totally left brain, completely logical, science-based go, my life has been changed by what you call woo-woo, not because it's woo-woo, but because it's true. Because this is actually fundamentally true. And that's one of the things I love about not just what you do in your practice and your business, but who you are as a person, is you bridge that gap for people. You take that, you give a sort of permission, right? You legitimize something that people really haven't wanted to consider because it seems so out of left field and made up, and boy, wouldn't that be nice if we all had a magic wand. And you get to say, well, no, it's not like that. Let me tell you how it is. Because I am science-based, because I have had these experiences that are very physical and logistical, and you sprinkle them with this energetic magic and shit happens, right? You are just the perfect person to bridge that for people. So imagine, yeah, there's going to be some people that are going to be like, oh, you're weird. You just completely undid the paradigm by which we live, and I am not happy with that. But there's also going to be these other people whose lives are forever impacted because they wouldn't have had the courage to delve into their energetic and spiritual self without seeing somebody they respect and admire do the same.
Yeah, deep stuff. What about you? What's coming up for you with this challenge?
Deflect.
Well, I just don't want to take up the whole time.
It's beautiful though. Like, this is a real thing for real people. How many people in their lives are afraid to make fundamental change? because we're not supposed to. We're supposed to play by the rules. We're supposed to live life linearly. Success is supposed to come to us one step at a time, supposed to earn our keep in essence, right? Like we have all of these really arbitrary rules about how we're supposed to do things. And the person who comes in and not just rocks a boat with new ideas, but lives it, that shakes up the whole system. Suddenly there's a whole exponential stringing off of possibilities, right? Like if you can change direction in your practice, if you can change direction personally, if you can change direction in your personal relationships, marriages, the way you raise your kids, if you can do that because energetically now you're more in tune, and energetically now you're more whole, and you're showing up more authentic, and you're happier than you ever been, then the ability for somebody else to do the same thing, get out of a toxic marriage or get out of a soul-sucking job, or, I mean, it doesn't even have to go in the woo-woo direction. It could completely go in this something they knew they should have been doing all along, but didn't have the courage to. That's huge. So it's not even just about you. You just happen to be that gorgeous example of what that can look like. And that it happens in stages, right? Like this isn't something that happens overnight. This is something that you learn a deeper truth about yourself, and you go out and you practice it, and you flub it up a few times, but then you come back and you seek for deeper truth, and then you get it a little deeper, and it's this progression and this growth, and it really is genuinely, to use the cliche journey, but it's apropos, because it's one foot in front of the other, and you're not just talking about it, you're living it. Mm-hmm. And that's super powerful.
Thank you.
Yes. You're like, I don't know what to say to that. It's magnificent. It's magnificent. I love it. And I can't wait. If you decide to really like live wholly and authentically, I'm excited to see what happens for you. Also think about the people that have stayed out of your sphere of influence that would be good for you because they thought you were only that one box.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. Just a grand experiment, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely. No, but truly, I want to hear what this challenge has done for you.
Well, I'm Little Miss Steady Eddie, one foot in front of the other. And what's really fascinating for me is that this has really created some crazy peaks and valleys for me, like just energetically, and my ability to focus and my ability to one day I am absolutely in that new space where I'm like, what was I ever afraid of in marketing? This is amazing. This is totally fun. Of course I would put this out there, and it feels very purposeful and it feels very passionate and I'm all in. And then the next day I can feel all those old patterns start like trying to punch at my new bubble, right? And my energy just goes really low, and I just don't really want to do anything, and I don't really want to focus on anything. And it's almost like these really fast cycles of activity and hibernation. And what I've noticed for myself is that if I start playing the tape that says, Triffany, you never follow through anything, you never finish anything, this is so not true. Clearly, it's not true. But this has been my take my whole life. You're fickle, you're flighty, you can't finish anything. Those things start to niggle at my brain while I'm in this low space. So what it has become for me is almost a practice in faith and patience, where I get to go, that's the past. First of all, it's a past story. It was always an untrue story. Like, parts of it were true, sure, but there was also this really organic way for me to through curiosity find my way, and it looked zigzaggy and all over the place, but it was appropriate, right? So not only partially true, but still purposeful, so mostly untrue, but it's in the past. It has absolutely nothing to do with my future. So it's this crazy cycle of jump in, do it, live with this verve and this excitement, and then it's kind of like cognitive consolidation, right? When you have those downtimes so that everything can integrate and assimilate, but it's with also this intentionality, because I can't ignore that stuff that's trying to burst my bubble, that's trying to push through. So I get to just kind of put it on the bench. The past, where's my future? My future is a love of what I do, a love of my purpose, a love of shouting about my purpose so that people can find what I do and use these tools to better their life, and walk in faith and with patience. It's just, it's weird. Like I don't know that I've ever had rapid fire cycles. Like we all have cycles in productivity, right? This has been rapid fire. It has literally been, there was one day last week where I started out low, not at all focused. And by the end of the day, I could have stayed up till 2 a.m. I was so charged up. So there was even one day where these cycles happened within the same day. It's bizarre.
Well, it sounds like you have just allowed yourself to tune in to the rhythm of the work, right? I mean, because it's a rhythm that you're talking about of, kind of low inactivity, and then these bursts of activity, and then these lows of non-activity, and then these bursts of it. It's a wave, and instead of like forcing something to happen during the low points, you're just allowing it. You're allowing it to go, and it's in those low points that the energy for preparing for the new burst of energy, or solidifying the burst of energy that you just came off of, happens. And if you push through that, you don't allow it to happen, then your next burst of energy is not as productive, because the preparation work was not allowed to happen. And so I think that's beautiful. I mean, truly, what I'm hearing is you just are going with the flow. It's like, you're just going with the tides of the ocean, and things become effortless.
Thank you for that reflection. That is such a keen observation. I wasn't even thinking about it like that. But as you're talking about this, it does remind me of, there's a little, it's an infinity cycle that Martha Beck put in one of her books. I think it was Finding Your Way in a Wild New World, where she says the cycle is rest and play. That's it. You get up, you play with all of your puppy excitement, and you're thrilled, and you're so excited to be part of the world. And then you go to sleep, like you eat and you sleep, and that is the rest. And you're so right. And I would have completely missed that if you hadn't reflected that back for me. Thank you. I was just watching it going, that's so strange, but you're right. You're absolutely right. And that's the patience piece, isn't it? It's without being able to be in that low point without judgment and criticism, and all letting that inner critic, that, that voice come in and demean everything that you've done. Yeah. Good catch. Thank you for that.
That is fantastic to be in that kind of a space, because I don't know that it's something that you can consciously get into. It's just kind of a flow that you find yourself going with.
Yeah, it is. And then it becomes a practice, right? Like when you're in it, don't judge it, allow for it to happen. And when you're not, don't judge it, because we're meant to be in that cycle. We will come back to that. That it's like a homeostasis of the body, right? Like when the body is constantly trying to get back to what it perceives as your normal point. That's true for everything. That's true for our energy too, and our focus and our purpose and our drive and all of that. So yeah, looking at it as a homeostasis that, we can't really screw it up for too long. We're going to get back there. And the more we fight it, the farther to your point, if you fight it and try to push through, then the next time you're trying to get to that, the next time that opportunity to be back in that flow arises, you doubt it, or you're tired, or you're not perceptive to, can't be present to it because you've been fighting what is while you were out of it. What you said in terms of energy is also true in terms of attention, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. That's pretty great.
That is pretty great. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away by what this simple challenge of eliminating just consciously eliminating one distraction in your life, and the amazing ripple effects that it has had. I mean, who could ever have predicted that?
Right? I didn't know I wasn't expecting any of this. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting. I'm surprised I was expecting something, but yeah, to just change. This isn't even intention. You and I talk a lot about intention, but this is really attention. This is completely different. This is really, where are you choosing to put your time, energy, and attention? And
Yeah.
asking the question, does it serve you? And if it doesn't, being willing to let it go.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Huh. Pretty great. Pretty great. So I guess the question is, so for me personally, my challenge within the challenge ends up being, because you and I, so either last week or the week before, we kind of said, like, this is not a 30-day thing. This is a new normal, right? So with that, where's that next elevation? Obviously for me, it is really, I want to get to the point, and I hope I get to the point where those little voices, they just don't even come in. Like, I create such a new normal that those are ancient history and don't even come, right? Like, I can fully, completely trust. So there's my practice, right? Faith, trust. Not surprising. How long has my message been trust and surrender?
Exactly.
This is deeper practice. And then for you, do you think you'll start showing up in all your woo-woo?
I will.
Yeah.
I know I will. It's just how broad, wide, and forcefully, I mean, I know I will, but it's probably going to be more of a subtle, this is me kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sort of graduate yourself into it, like ingredients.
Right. Or just, kind of just see myself just, dropping a random line like, yeah, I've kind of been a little bit more focused in my energy healing practice. And that other person might be like, what energy healing?
Well, with all of this new bandwidth that you have by plugging up all these energy leaks, you might find it's easier to do than you thought it was. You might find that you just are sort of like called to blah about it, and so you just blah. I mean, it might not be subtle at all. I mean, it could be. I have a feeling, though, this isn't something that is going to require a plan. I think this is going to be something that, as you are fuller and fuller in your energetic bucket, right? Like, as your battery continues to fill itself, it'll just be a natural progression of what you're doing to be like, I can't not talk about this anymore. Like, it is so much who I am that I can't, suddenly it's going to feel inauthentic, right? It's not going to just feel like I'm authentic, but only in this one area. It's going to become so you that just showing this becomes inauthentic to you.
Right.
Yeah. I'm guessing. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But what a great thing to see how this all builds on itself, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, one little change inspires this, inspires this, inspires this. Pretty great.
Yeah. Well, if you ever have any more brilliant ideas on challenges,
I will be glad to share. You know what is so amazing though? Like, I just in passing mentioned it to you, and you were like, I'll do it with you. Okay, awesome. The other day I mentioned it to another friend of mine, and she kind of, what are you doing? Is that through an app? I want to hear all about it. Like, it was like this program that I had created. And I said, no. It's just that, I explained it to her. She's like, I need to do that. So maybe there is something to this, when the timing is right, you just push that boundary. That thing that makes you uncomfortable is where you just start to massage and push and play and pull. And then to the point we were making earlier, it kind of gives other people permission to do the same thing. Like, oh, but it's a hit, right? Like, it's like an intuitive, you didn't even think twice. You're a go-getter. It doesn't surprise me. Like, you don't mess around, but like you didn't even hesitate. I'll do that with you. I loved it. So
oh yeah. No, I saw the potential, just the potential that it had for this kind of change. So it'd be nice for any of our viewers who took on the challenge to like write a comment and let us know what's changed for them, right? Wouldn't that be cool to find out what's going on with other people?
Yes, I do. I want to hear other people's stories. And I want to just tell people that, this is going to happen for different people in different ways, right? Consider the fact, Sandra and I are talking about some pretty monumental changes for us. Like, we really noticed a very quick difference. It impacted us at varying levels, from all the way from the conscious to the subconscious. But understand, we've been doing subconscious work, unconscious work, energy work, spiritual. We've been doing this for years and years and years. So if you're taking this challenge on and you've been somebody who has been just head down through survival mode, get those bills paid, you've owned up to all your responsibilities, now you're just starting to go, ooh, what's next? Just understand that any progress you see is monumental progress for you. And don't compare successes as one is greater or one is the other, because your people's first foray into this energetic collective realm, it's unfamiliar, and it's because it's so vastly different than everything we've been taught culturally. It's safer to walk gently into this space. If you were just thrown into, it'd be like being thrown into Guam and having no idea what the language is, what the food is, how to navigate, how to do anything. So be gentle with yourselves, but golly, it would be so great to hear their experiences, your experiences. It would be so awesome to hear how it goes. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll have these, like, I don't know. Gosh, it would be great to get people who are doing this stuff together, wouldn't it? Like, really? I don't know.
Well, speaking of getting people together, your Course in Miracles online group is really active. I'm so happy.
Oh my gosh, me too. I'm so grateful. We had the best call I say that every time we get together, but last week it was just super powerful. One of the members was really forced through life circumstances to choose fear or faith, fear or love. And she really was like, ooh, this could go either way. And she chose faith, and she kept coming back to this work, and she kept talking to us, and I'll be damned if there wasn't a miracle, 11th hour miracle. I can't even tell, I don't want to just divulge because, it's her private stuff, but it was so powerful. So in her sharing with us, the other people in the group started talking about similar, not nearly as dire as her situation was, but these similar experiences where they were up against an authority at work, and they had a choice to show up the way they always showed up, kowtow and not speak their voice. But they came back to this work and were able to find their voice in a compassionate way where it could be heard. Like, there was just so much talk about the power and strength of surrender. Just letting go the illusion we have any control, letting go the illusion that we have any idea where the miracle is going to come from, letting go the illusion that we know what the miracle is even for, what the next steps are. This really is just a constant exercise in doing the work and then trusting what's next, doing the work, and then it's so cool. Isn't it fun to see how people's lives are, like, they really are, they're participating and talking, and it's impacting in a very real way. When I say real, I mean connected. Like, we are all a community that supports one another now. We are all holding this new reality that we expect miracles, this new reality that we expect abundance, this new reality that we expect this ego space to go ahead and just be on the bench and dissolve and do its thing, that's not our truth. Like, we're stepping into a whole new way of living. And it's so much more powerful. You and I had a great experience that first year. And you and I talked about how much more powerful it is because we had each other.
Yes, absolutely.
Now with a group, it's even more powerful. What's that phrase from the Bible where two or more gather?
Yes. Well, that's the only part of it that I remember. Where two or more gather, I'm like, oh, that works for me.
Good enough. Yes, I'll take it. fantastic. Well, that's been the experience. That's super cool. I think I'll keep it going. I don't know really what it's going to end up looking like, but I've noticed that there have been some fun little activities and practices, you know, like with the personifying your ego thing and the abundance thing we did, helping each other change each other's abundance stories. And I feel like there's some things that can be just sort of organically built in as we begin to advance the experiment. So I don't know, it'd be interesting to see what it really comes in. I think we should keep doing it though.
Yeah.
And just let people find it as they find it and trust that the word's going to get out there, you know? Yeah. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you're getting something new out of it, especially since you've done it already.
Yes. I've really appreciated some of the transcripts written out of the lessons, because some of the lessons, it's almost like I'm reading them for the first time. It's very interesting. It's like there's no memory of having read that before.
Which is crazy because we learn it once and then we have the practice session and then we learn it again. Isn't that nuts? That tells me that there was a time when we did it the first time, there wasn't anything in your life to make it, you know, to apply it or practice it. It really is an ongoing practice, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And I'm farther along in the text now. You know, it's been really neat to the lessons are powerful. I don't even think you really super need the text, but the stuff in the text, I don't know, it just I seem to always read the right thing on the right day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's been super helpful too. A lot of my stuff has been keep the past in the past. It is not proof of anything. That was what you created then. That was the lesson you had then. That was something you misunderstood at the time because you weren't this far along in your love and your compassion work. And, you know, it doesn't mean anything. And that just keeps coming up for me. I'm like, okay. All right. A whole new blank slate every moment.
Right?
There was a phrase that was in the text I loved. In this redeeming moment, heaven lies. And I loved that. Because, you know, I've said for years, all we ever really have is now. But I hadn't thought of that being a redeeming moment. It is. Nothing means we have right now, that's it. And in this moment, if we choose it, we are redeemed and it is heaven. It is peace. There's nothing to worry about. There's no fear. I love that. In this redeeming moment, heaven lies. So.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Shall we just close up for right now?
Yeah. Tell me what you're up to this next week. Let's wrap it up.
Apparently not much.
Without all these distractions, all this stuff
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm in a place of just I'm just going with the flow with one of these low, like, all right, there's not really much to do here, so sit with it.
Perfect. Okay. Well, then I'll see you again on Monday.
Oh, and what about you? What do you have going on for the week?
Similar, you know, I've got this marketing at the forefront. I understand now that it's not even necessarily about the physical marketing, but more that the marketing is an exercise and everything else, you know, so every moment, every marketing moment is an opportunity to practice, you know, just staying curious about where I am, just observing it, allowing whatever it is to let it be what it is, whether it's enthusiasm or rest. And, yeah, we'll just see what that ends up looking like.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, then I will see you next week.
Okay, I'll see you then. I love you. Bye-bye.
Love you too.